The Mounties were once the pride of Canada. In fact, Mounties are an international symbol of Canada. Upstanding, honest, fair, adventurous, outdoorsy. That's the old RCMP. The new RCMP, of course, is one of political corruption at the hands of Trudeau's hand-picked commissioners. Remember the disgraceful Brenda Lucki? And the new, even more atrocious RCMP Commissioner Mike Duhem, who made his big debut by calling for new laws to stop citizens from being mean to politicians online. So they're being politicized, and policing has become corroded more and more by these collateral purposes: affirmative action, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, or as someone more accurately suggested, DEI stands for didn't earn it. But if didn't earn it applies to people, maybe it applies to other parts of policing too, especially if we're being critical Marxists about it, if we're being woke about it, if we're trying to decolonize policing. How about getting rid of cars that burn fossil fuels and replace them with fashionable political cars? How about replacing police vehicles, which are strong, sturdy, reliable? How about replacing them with electric vehicles? Oh yes, look at this press release by the RCMP just a couple months ago. RCMP shifts to zero-emission vehicles. That's the headline, and here's the photo caption. The RCMP showcased the zero-emission Tesla at the 2023 Glengarry Highland Games last summer. Of course, it's not zero emissions. A lot of Canadian electricity comes from burning fossil fuels, and you can't make steel without burning coal. It's a bit of a shell game. It feels like this is a novelty item, that photo. I mean, I get it. Though Teslas aren't really a novelty like they were 10 years ago. I guess that's things moving at the speed of government. But let me read the story. Here, judge for yourself. The RCMP is driving change by shifting its on-road light-duty fleet to zero-emission vehicles where operationally feasible by 2035. Oh, driving change. I thought their job was arresting bad guys, upholding the law. Yeah, no, hasn't been for a while. I'll read some more. Officers at 2 RCMP detachments took to the road early in 2023 to start using the Tesla Model Y, one of several different models to be tested. British Columbia's West Shore Detachment and Ontario's Rideau Hall Response Unit were the first to test the new vehicles in daily operations. The upfit mid-size SUVs have been on the road since January 23, and officers are getting a feel for how they perform as police vehicles in the field for their day-to-day operations. Yeah, did you just call the Tesla Model Y an SUV? Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean, there's a picture of it. Now, it's true, Tesla has released a true novelty item, their Tesla truck, called the Cybertruck. Those start at about 150 grand Canadian a pop. But the RCMP is still testing the Model Y from years ago. Let me read some more. The Tesla seems to be very well liked by the officers, says Corporal Didier Thibault, team lead of the Rideau Hall response team in Ottawa. It's always the first car selected when members sign in. They even come in earlier to get the car. Oh, that's a touching anecdote. So they think the car is fun. I'm not sure that's the most important thing when selecting police cars, but that's what the RCMP have led with in this press release. Officers on the response team patrol the Rideau Hall grounds, spending much of the day in the vehicle at various posts on the property. Even though there isn't extensive driving involved, ergonomics is a key consideration due to the long hours spent in idling vehicles. The ergonomics are better compared to our standard police vehicle, but for taller and larger members, there's still not as much room as a larger SUV, says Thibault. All right, so it's not a real police car in terms of its use. It's for puttering around the grounds of Rideau Hall in Ottawa, but just for the shorter officers. So it's like a golf cart, almost. You're driving around short distances, no chases, no races, no bad guys put in the back. Like I say, it's a novelty item. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but here's a bit more. Speeding up availability. The field testing has brought attention to several factors that will help the RCMP move forward with greening its fleet. One challenge the RCMP has faced in testing is equipping or upfitting retail vehicles with policing equipment that were not designed for police operations. Quote, zero-emission purpose-built police vehicles are only now becoming available to the Canadian market, says Andres Casimiri, manager of the RCMP's National Fleet Program. That means we had to buy retail vehicles and contract the upfitting to a vendor. Translation, a Tesla really isn't built to do police work, from the sirens to the lights to, putting a handcuffed criminal in the back when half the roof is a window that could be kicked out, I'm guessing. I'll keep reading. The Teslas were the first vehicles delivered for testing and were upfitted with policing equipment by a vendor. They were ready for the road within 9 months. Oh, that fast, eh? Working at the speed of government. The National Fleet Program is waiting for the two other testing vehicles, the Ford Mach-E and the Ford 150 Lightning. The RCMP has also ordered the Chevy Blazer EV PPV, a purpose-built policing vehicle. The new vehicles are expected to be equipped and ready for testing in 2024. Have you ever met anyone who has bought one of those other vehicles? Have you ever heard of a Ford F-150 Lightning? That's the electric version of the F-150, very, very popular truck. Now, a few people have bought them. I Googled the thing. I don't know anyone who has a F-150 Lightning. Here are some headlines that I saw when I Googled F-150 Lightning. Here's the story that came up. Family ditches electric truck on drive from Winnipeg to Chicago after charging troubles. That's not a very long drive, by the way. Road trip completed with rented gas-powered vehicle, while Ford says charging infrastructure is improving. Okay, I'll tell the RCMP, and I'll tell the criminals. I wonder if that little story there is why I saw this headline too. I just Googled F-150 Lightning because I really didn't know much about it. I saw this headline, Ford F-150 Lightning sales tanked, forcing Ford to lay off workers at Rouge EV Center. Ford is losing $30,000 per vehicle when they sell these F-150 Lightnings. But the RCMP think it's a winner. They're very interested. I'll read some more. Facing challenges head on. While the team leading the zero-emission vehicle migration is confident the market will be able to produce purpose-built policing vehicles well-suited for urban areas, there are potential challenges for remote detachments given the vast areas officers cover. Oh, you think, eh? The team is still exploring charging systems to ensure proper infrastructure is in place to support detachments and collecting data on vehicles operating in northern and remote locations to evaluate the challenges those areas encounter and ensure zero-emission vehicle suitability. They keep saying team. How big is this team at the RCMP that instead of fighting crime is working on the question of electric cars? If you can call what they're doing work. I'll keep reading. As the RCMP moves forward, guided by its Vision 150 and beyond priorities and the Treasury Board Secretariat's greening government strategy, there's still a lot to consider. A technology shift of this magnitude can redefine how we approach patrol operations, says Yves Mador, project lead for the Fleet Modernization Project. That's why we're talking to every facet of RCMP operations to identify areas of improvement that are fundamental to advanced technology, zero-emission vehicles. Okay, so hang on. Okay, how many team members are we at so far, by the way? But they're going to transform, they're going to change how they patrol to fit electric vehicles. They're not going to buy a vehicle that fits them. They're going to change policing to fit the Teslas. Yeah, don't you get it? That's what that Vision 150 is all about. Non-policing priorities. Don't even think about the letter P in the RCMP. That's not the emphasis anymore. If police patrols have to change so that electric vehicle team can report a great success to the Liberal Party, that's what they're going to do.